You have checked your bank account 3 times today, not because anything changed, not because a payment was due or a transfer was pending or you were trying to make a decision, just because you opened the app, looked at the number, closed it, and then opened it again an hour later. Maybe less. The number was the same. It will probably be the same when you check it again tonight. And you will check it again tonight. This is not about financial responsibility. Financially responsible people check their accounts, but they check with a purpose, to confirm something, to catch an error, to decide whether they can afford the thing they are considering. They look, they get the information, they close the app and go back to their life. What you are doing is something different. You are not looking for information. You already know what is there. You are looking for something the number cannot give you. And because it cannot give it to you, you keep looking. The compulsive checking of financial accounts is one of the most common and least examined anxiety behaviors in modern life. Common because almost everyone who has ever worried about money does it. Least examined because it looks responsible. It looks like the opposite of burying your head in the sand. You are staying on top of things. You are being vigilant. But vigilance towards something that is not changing is not vigilance. It is a loop. Here is what the loop actually looks like. You check. The number is what it is. If it is fine, there is a brief moment of relief, a few seconds, maybe a minute, and then the relief fades. The number was fine when you checked. But what about now? What about later? The relief was only ever about the moment of checking, not about the underlying state of things. So you check again. If the number is not fine, if something went wrong, if the balance is lower than you expected, you close the app quickly. Not to do something about it, just to stop seeing it. And then you open it again to confirm that what you saw was real. And then you close it again. And the thing you were trying to manage, the feeling underneath the checking, is still there, and the balance has not changed, and the app is still in your pocket. The number never actually helps. But checking is something you can do. And doing something feels better than sitting with the feeling. To understand why, it helps to understand what money anxiety actually is. It is not about money. This sounds like a deflection, so it is worth being precise. The anxiety has a financial trigger. The balance is low, or the month is tight, or there is an uncertainty ahead that has a number attached to it. These are real. But the anxiety itself, the loop, the compulsive return to the app, the inability to let the number just be the number, that is not about the specific financial situation. It is about the feeling of not being in control of something that matters. And money is one of the clearest proxies we have for control. Not because money actually gives control, it does not completely, not permanently, but because it is measurable. It is a number. You can see it. You can watch it go up or down. In a life full of uncertainty that cannot be quantified, the bank balance is the one thing you can check and get a definitive answer from. Except the answer only lasts until the next check. What the anxious brain is actually doing when it reaches for the app is called monitoring. It is a strategy for managing threat. You stay alert, you keep watch, you catch danger early. Monitoring works. If you are in a genuinely dangerous situation, vigilance is adaptive. The problem is that the anxious brain cannot distinguish between genuinely dangerous situations and situations that merely feel dangerous. And the feeling of financial uncertainty, for a lot of people, is so persistent and so uncomfortable that the brain never fully takes its hand off the alarm. So you monitor, you check, you get the temporary relief of having checked. And the alarm resets because the balance was fine at 11 a.m., but it is 12 p.m. now and things can change and you should probably check again. The question worth asking is, what are you actually afraid of? Not in the abstract. Not, I'm afraid of not having enough. That is real, but it is also too large to work with. The specific fear underneath the specific checking. For some people, it is the fear of being caught off guard. The scenario they are checking against is not the gradual slide of a balance that they would notice. It is the sudden thing, the unexpected charge, the error, the moment where they look and something is catastrophically wrong and they should have caught it earlier. The checking is a form of due diligence against a disaster that has not happened and in many cases never will. For others, it is about control in a life where many things feel out of control. The job might not be secure. The relationship might have cracks in it. The health thing in the back of their mind might be something. But the bank balance that they can see, that they can monitor, In a life where agency feels limited, the app is the one place where looking gives them a concrete piece of information about the state of things. It does not help, but it is something to do. And for others still, and this is the one people are least willing to say out loud, the checking is about worth. Not net worth in the financial sense, but the older question. The balance is low, which means somewhere under the logic that they are behind, that they have not figured out what they were supposed to figure out, that the number is evidence of something about them, not just about their account. And so they check to see how bad the evidence is today. And then they check again because seeing it once was not enough to settle the feeling. None of these fears are resolved by checking. That is the central, obvious, largely ignored fact about financial anxiety loops. The relief that comes from checking is real, but it is also brief and it is also not cumulative. You do not check 10 times and feel 10 times more reassured. You check 10 times and feel roughly as anxious after the 10th check as you did before the first. Sometimes more, because now you have spent an hour thinking about your bank balance instead of whatever else you were trying to do. The loop persists not because checking helps, but because not checking feels worse. The anxiety needs somewhere to go, and the app is right there, and the cost of opening it feels low. It is low, but it adds up. Not financially, the checking does not change the balance. It adds up in attention, in the amount of cognitive space your finances occupy in a given day, in the low background hum of monitoring that never fully switches off. There is a version of this that goes beyond inconvenient and into something more significant. People who have severe financial anxiety often describe a relationship with money that functions less like a practical tool and more like a wound. The money is never quite enough. When it is enough, it does not feel like it. The checking is not occasional, it is constant, intrusive, a feature of the day rather than a task within it. The number becomes a kind of referendum, checked compulsively for evidence about whether things are okay, whether they are okay, whether today is going to be one of the bad ones. This is worth naming clearly. Financial anxiety of this intensity is not a character flaw. It is not evidence of poor financial management. It is anxiety with a financial object. The same brain that checks the balance 40 times a day would, under different circumstances, check the door lock or the stove or the text thread, looking for the same reassurance the checking never quite delivers. There is one time of day when the loop is worst, and almost everyone who experiences it knows exactly what time that is. Late at night. Not because anything changes financially after dark. The balance is the same at 11 p.m. as it was at 2 in the afternoon. No new charges are landing. No decisions need to be made before morning. There is no practical reason to check. But the checking at night is different from the checking during the day. During the day, the anxiety has competitors, work, other people, things that require attention. The balance is one of several things pulling at the brain. At night, when the distractions clear and the room goes quiet, the financial anxiety gets the whole stage. This is when the number starts to expand. A balance that felt manageable at noon starts to feel precarious at midnight. A bill that was scheduled but not alarming becomes, at 11:30 p.m., something to run the math on again. The math has not changed. The outcome is the same as it was when you ran it this afternoon. But the brain at night, in the quiet, with nothing else to occupy it, runs it anyway. Sleep researchers have a name for this. It is called constructive worry, except that financial anxiety loops at night are rarely constructive. They do not produce plans or decisions, just cycles of the same calculation arriving at the same inconclusive result. The brain is trying to solve the problem of financial uncertainty by thinking about it harder. The problem with financial uncertainty is that thinking about it harder does not solve it. The uncertainty remains. The night gets longer. The phone is on the nightstand. The app is right there. And checking at midnight feels, in the moment, like doing something about the feeling. It is not, but it is available. What the nighttime check almost always produces is not reassurance. It produces a number seen in a context where numbers look worse, where a balance that would feel adequate in daylight feels thin in the dark, where a scheduled expense that would feel manageable in the morning feels like a risk at night. The brain at rest is not a neutral interpreter of financial data. It is an anxious one, and the number it sees at midnight is not the same number you will see at 9 in the morning, even though it is identical. This is worth knowing. Not because it means you should never look at your balance at night, but because the check that feels most urgent, the one that happens when you are lying in the dark and the anxiety has the room to itself, is also the one least likely to give you what you are actually looking for. The thing that actually helps is not the thing that feels helpful. Checking feels helpful. Not checking feels like negligence, like burying your head, like the very thing you were trying to avoid. But the check is not the problem, the frequency is. And the frequency is driven by the anxiety, not by a genuine need for financial information. What the research on anxiety loops consistently finds is that the behavior that reduces the loop is not performing the check but tolerating the urge to check without acting on it. Sitting with the discomfort of not knowing the exact current balance. Letting the uncertainty be uncertain for a little longer than feels comfortable. This is not about willpower. It is about interrupting the signal the loop is sending. Every time you check and feel brief relief, the brain learns. Checking worked, so check again. Every time you tolerate the urge and the discomfort passes without catastrophe, the brain learns something different. The uncertainty was survivable. You did not need to check. The number will still be there when you have a genuine reason to look. The goal is not to become someone who never checks their accounts. That would be irresponsible in the other direction. The goal is to check with a purpose, get the information and close the app, and then let the number be what it is until the next time you have a reason to look. Not because the anxiety is gone. It may not be, but because you are no longer feeding it. An anxiety not fed does not grow. There is a particular kind of peace that people describe when they stop using the bank app as an emotional regulation tool. It is not the peace of having more money, though sometimes circumstances improve. It is the peace of not spending the day in a low-grade negotiation with a number that was never going to give them what they were looking for. The number in the account is not evidence of who you are. It is not a verdict. It is not a referendum on whether you have figured things out or whether you are behind or whether today is going to be one of the bad ones. It is a number. It will be there when you need it. And most of the time, you do not need it as often as you think. Close the app. It will be fine.